Oh, it's actually running.
What?
I don't
What
even
is
know if they can
happening?
hear us at this time.
I don't think so. I think what is wait.
This is good to know. This is good to know.
Are we gonna pop back on?
They hear us. They can hear us. They can hear us. Okay, this is good. This was a Hank prank. A
How do you
prank
know they could hear us? Oh,
because
and
B
B
is saying
says
we can hear. That's well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Writing Sprint Wednesdays with your hosts, myself and Abby. Abby's going to join me for the first few minutes just so we can chat a little bit. And I guess now we have something specific to chat about, which was that.
Hank.
We've been talking behind the scenes about how we all know there's this buffer time between when we say something and when you hear it, because that's just how the internet and streaming works. But there's this time when we go live before y'all see us, and we don't know when that is. So we're trying to put this intro video in, like all the cool streamers out there. And Hank came up with that. We're gonna iterate on it, make it a little
Hank
dabblelicious. But
came up with it, and then you and I both immediately poo-pooed it. So we're the worst.
we did it in a nice way because it's cool, right? It's cool, but we need it to be more us, I think. And so, you'll all be able to watch the iterations of that until we get it right. Y'all are
Oh, look
already the
what
cool streamers.
Erica says. Yeah.
You're too sweet. Okay, let me scroll all the way up here and say hello to folks. I already gave B and Samantha a bit of a mission today of no adulting, just words. But a hello to both of you. And we also have David and Reed as Reed, and JM Brown and NJ and Erica. And let me keep scrolling here. I know I saw more TW and Keo, and Sarah's here. And did I get everybody?
I've
I
not
think
been
so.
paying attention. Okay.
Yeah. Well, hello. And if I missed you, call me out on it. Shame me publicly. It's the only way for me to change. Um, Abby, how you doing today? As I was saying before, you sound a lot better than yesterday.
I know. I feel better. I slept well, so I think that kind of helps. But I'm I promise to go off camera if I have to blow my nose and hit mute.
I was really torn today about what I want to do because yesterday, I think I said in the chat that I have so many things to revise,
Yeah.
right? But it's writing sprints and I like writing. And like I have this fun little short story I'm working on, but I thought I normally write, so why don't I throw the stuff I'm revising into word sprints and I'll revise and I'll bring down our average word count by getting some negative words in there just to show everyone what it's like. It's mostly me staring at the screen. Highlighting things and replacing things. But hey, that's cool too. That's fun. Again, every
Well,
time I mention what's on the screen, everyone should be looking at their own screen anyway. So
this morning when I was writing in my Dabble project, I wrote 700 words, but I deleted 600 words, and it said my word count for the day was at 100, and then I felt cheated somehow. I was like, wait,
that's
but I
tough.
wrote a bunch. I
Yeah,
just
you put in the work.
deleted a bunch.
And that's why something we
So,
talked about in our imposter syndrome workshop a couple weeks ago now for Dabble Premium is that word count doesn't necessarily mean effort. And just because you don't have a high word count, even if you only written 100 words, that doesn't mean you didn't put in a lot of work, right?
right,
But that's a direct show there that hey, you put in all this effort, but it's not necessarily reflected in the word count. If anything, you put in twice the effort.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I
I'm in the same company
think.
as Keo here, who's going to be doing the same. Hello, Susan. Welcome. And we have 30 seconds here until our sprint starts. I need to think of some Dougism to say in between. I always try and come with something to the sprints,
We
but I don't
need
know
a
what it's going to be today.
question like
Yeah,
Robert. Every day we
yeah.
should have a fun question for everyone.
Okay, now 15 seconds. I'm going to put this up on the screen so we can all see it. Abby, thanks for joining me for the first 15 minutes. And with 10 seconds left, everyone hit that thumbs up button. And then
Good luck,
we'll start writing.
everybody.
Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye.
All right, everybody. And that is our first sprint of the day done. How did we do? I got a whole 38 words written in that revision time. Feels good to say that. Um, let's take a look. A Dugget of wisdom, a Duggle of truth. Hello, flip screen. Welcome, welcome. You're just in time for our second sprint to start. And before I get too distracted in celebrating all these successes, let me copy some stuff over to the second sprint and make sure everyone has that link. Excuse me, got a couple hiccups going on here. We'll put that in there. All right, the links are below me in the description, but I will put it in the chat here so that everyone has it. There we go. All right, Reed got 559 and B 452. TW first sprint, boom, love it. David 316, Erica 213, Samantha looking somewhere around 500 words. Excellent. Sarah 190, awesome. JM Brown coming in at 736. That's huge. Keo got 51 words to the scene you were editing. Awesome job. And 317 and a new outline for NJ. Fantastic. All right. Eating a spoonful of peanut butter helps with the hiccups. You don't need to convince me to eat a spoonful of peanut butter, which probably is not a good thing. Let's be real, but so delicious. Okay, I came up with a Dougism while I was a Dugget of truth while we were writing, and that is filler words. And this is going to be something this month. The premium workshop is going to be on revising, on how to revise your novel and approaching revisions. One of the things we're going to talk about is filler words, and they are everywhere. Seemed, thought, felt, those are perspective filler words. Those are things that you pad your word count with, trying to let the reader know that, hey, your perspective character is experiencing these things. You can usually cut them because since it is from your perspective character, we know that they are experiencing these things. You don't need to inform us of those. So I'm going through and I'm trimming a lot of those. That 99% of that instances can be cut. Take it from someone who's been paid money a handful of times to specifically cut stuff like that. You can get rid of it most of the time. It does have its place. There are some instances where that is needed, but most of the time it is not. So easy one to cut. Same thing with had or has. Now, there are times when had or has is important and it denotes a specific generality, a vagueness of when something happened. But if something happened in the past, we have past tense words for that. We don't usually need had. Yeah, or was, right? Was falls into the same category as had. So, my favorite. So, I say that a lot when I'm speaking. Oh, but not so much when I'm writing. Although I'm a sucker for starting sentences with and, but, or so, and those usually have to be fixed. Sometimes they're very impactful. Use them too much, they have no impact, and they start to get repetitive. Yeah, let me know what your crutch words are, the filler words that you tend to throw in there are. Mine seemed, thought, felt like those always show up in my first drafts, no matter how many first drafts I write. But that's what revisions are for. And specifically, this book that I'm revising, it's my second book I ever wrote, right? And I'm well past that now. I'm a much different writer than when I wrote this book, but I'm getting it ready for audiobook production. And so there are a ton of that's that are still in there, and it's honestly driving me up the wall. I'm sadly an and girly. Same though. Same. Sarah, I was just saying had you have so many. Excellent. So now you know what to cut. And to be clear, we have 45 seconds till our next sprint starts. But to be clear, this isn't something you need to stress about during your first draft writing, right? This is more revision stuff. And when you practice it during revisions, you'll become better at not including it in the first drafts. If you notice it when you're writing a first draft, sure, cut it out, replace it, whatever. But don't think, oh, I really need to eliminate every instance of that when I'm writing my first draft or I'm going to be a failure. No, no, they'll be there for a while and you won't be a failure. Yeah, B, you can add ing to things, ing. There are some times when adding that creates, I think it's a gerund. Um, we'll talk about that more on another day, though. We can talk more about grammar structure. I got 5 seconds on my timer here. So this is going on the stage, and I'll see you all in 20 minutes. Happy writing. All right, everybody, and that is our second sprint of the day done. How did everyone do? I got a grand total of 30 words written that time, and I actually had to pivot over to my Dabble project because I didn't paste enough into the word sprints here, and I didn't want to skew it by tossing in another 2,000 words and changing the average word count. So some say I'm a hero, and I'll just leave it at that, actually. Some people won't know me and think that's the most arrogant thing, but you all know me, so I feel okay with it. B got 444. Great job. Reed 481 for a subtotal of 1040. I love it. JM Brown got 531. Awesome. NJ 878 on the new outline. Fantastic. What's the new outline about? Let us know. Sarah got 97, but it felt like more. I get that feeling. Trust me, I get it. 312 for David and 929 for B so far. Awesome. Kia, we got the same amount of words. We're on the same wavelength here. And Susan got 175. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, two things. Actually, I'm going to share my Dabble project on the screen real quick because I want to show y'all something. Just let me do that and that. And this is just a little revision tip. So let me get rid of all that highlight. Okay, cool. Here's my project. What I want to focus on is here on the left. You might not be able to see that, and I can't really zoom it in, but you'll be able to look in your own Dabble project. The normal default chapter icon is this open book with a dark left page, a bright right page. But you'll notice that mine have little icons here, check marks, if you could see them clearly on those ones, and the little eyeballs on these ones. Now, what some people don't know is that you can go into the dots here, set icon overlay, and you can choose one of these ones here. So the blank one, the check mark, the X, the I, the pen, or the lock. And I'm using these to keep track of which ones I've revised and which ones I'm currently working on. There's nothing worse than, taking a break from revisions for a weekend, coming back and forgetting where you are. So I finished my revisions for chapter 5. So I'm going to turn that to a check mark, and I'm leaving this I here until I'm done chapter 6. And what you can do is the same thing for the scenes themselves. I'm not going to do that because, that's not that hard for me to remember. But if you had multiple scenes, some of my chapters have like 4 or 5 scenes in them. I think if we go down here, 4 scenes in chapter 25. That might be more helpful there. But yeah, little dabble tip for you. Okay, let me do that and just get set up here. Grab the third link for sprints. There we go. Should be coming at you in the chat in just a moment here. Keo, I forgot that was a feature. Hey, some people never knew it was a feature to begin with, so you're already ahead of the curve. But now you remember. Look at that. And let me paste my stuff into this sprint so that I'm not messing with the word count or having to edit in Dabble, but I can stay in the wordsprint.org thing here. Client, TW, you're welcome. Read, those icons represent whatever you want them to represent. And that's kind of the beauty of it. Same thing with color coding, adding ribbons to stuff. You can make them mean whatever you want them to mean. Some of them, if there's a lock, you choose the padlock one, maybe that means don't touch this, right? Or maybe if it's an X one, you said this one's not making it to the final cut, but you might want to rework it. Like there are some things that you can get the general vibes of, but use it however you want, or don't use it, right? Some people just won't use it. That should be a tagline for us. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And I saw there was a conversation about said and snarled and hissed and that kind of stuff. I want to talk about that for a few minutes once we're done this last sprint, but we only have 45 seconds. These 5 minutes just blow by. I can't handle it. I need like 10 minutes in between just to get all my talking out. I guess, what was the thinking behind the icon? So for me, I'm using the check mark to say that I'm done the revisions. The I means that I'm currently working on them. If I want to cut a scene entirely, I put the X there. Some people just delete the scene. That's cool. But yeah, that's it. It's just adding more options for authors out there to customize it the way that they want to in a way that's not very obtrusive. Yeah, it does. All right, folks. Our last sprint of the day is starting now. I'm going to pop it up on the screen here. And I'll talk to y'all in 20 minutes. All right, everybody. That is the end of our third and final sprint. There we go. Let me know how you did. I got a grand total of 12 words that time around. And if I add these up, I have, I think, 90 words added today. Let me make my face big here for you. Don't forget to copy and paste your words out of word sprints if you're joining us over there. Very important. It saves on your device for 24 hours and then it is gone. Let's see how we did in the chat here. B can't hear your own thoughts. The rain is so loud. Has not started raining here yet, but we're expecting quite a bit too. And Kia will take it. I do love the rain. Absolutely. TW, I think we should make some shorts of all the funny comments from the sprints. That would be a lot of shorts then. JM Brown got 812. Sarah got 123. 123. That's auspicious. Reed 568 for a grand total of 1608. Excellent job. David 197. Awesome. B got 394 this go around for 1323 in total. Great job. Great job. I did promise a quick little thing about said and said alternatives. There is a dialogue workshop for Dabble Premium members that you can go and watch in our premium community over at W Campus. But this is such a tricky subject. And I'm going to preface this by saying that there is no definite right way of doing things. There's just kind of your preference. However, there are some general guidelines. For the most part, you want to stick to said and asked for, I don't know, 80%, 80+% of your dialogue tags. That's because readers have gotten to the point where when they're reading something, they gloss over said. They acknowledge it's there. Their brain acknowledges it, but it doesn't interrupt the flow of their reading. So they get the benefit without having to focus on the actual word, which means that if we are using something a little more descriptive, right? Hollered, screamed, whispered, etc. You want to be intentional about using it. When you're doing that, you are choosing to draw attention to that word. And that's perfectly fine if you're doing it intentionally. But it also falls into this gray area of show, don't tell, which is a pretty golden rule that has its own nuances, has its own use it here and not there kind of rules. But someone said before, if you can, let me see if I can find that comment. Yeah, NJ here. Change the way the sentence is structured to better say what you're saying. So instead of saying that I shouted something, which is fine, you can change the dialogue or the body language associated with it or the actions that come after to show that someone is angry, right? But that said, I'm a big fan of said alternatives. I do use them all the time. Again, I always go with said, or I go with said more often, substantially more often, but you can use those other things. I would also strongly recommend that you avoid said plus adverb, because that is usually weaker. You can generally find a better word. So said quietly becomes whispered or muttered or mumbled. Those are more evocative words. They get the emotions going in your reader, and so they can understand the story better. But even in that case, like 1% of your dialogue tags are going to be said plus an adverb, and that's fine. But we really want to be economical with our words. We really want them to have the most punch that they can, to drive the most emotion that they can when we want them to drive that emotion. So use said most often. Don't be afraid for some alternatives, but be intentional about your alternatives. And yes, to Kio's point here, if you have a distinctive voice for your character, you don't even need dialogue tags throughout the entire conversation. Every casual reminder here and there is great. When there's more than two people, you'll use them more often because it can get a little confusing even with distinct voices. But yeah, put in that voice work and then lean into using the dialogue to show how the character is feeling, how they're reacting to a situation. You don't have to worry so much about said or said alternatives. But it's a bigger topic than I can cover in, what was that, 3 minutes of talking? So much so that we have that workshop. And a little spoiler, something, I don't know, I'll talk about it more next week. We have a whole course coming about it as well. But I'll leave you on that little tantalizing tidbit because I am out of here. I've got to go do work or something, or maybe have a snack. Who knows? I want to thank you all for joining me for these writing sprints. We have them tomorrow with my pal Hank, hosting them at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And then on Friday at what time? Noon Eastern, Abby will be hosting a free workshop on plot twists. And that's plot twists in any genre, not just mysteries and thrillers. So yeah, B's got to go adult. I got to go adult. Yes, this has been a fantastic session. I really appreciate you all being here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Give me a like if you were successful in your sprints today. And we will see you tomorrow or Friday or next week. That's all. Bye for now.